The sneaky snake strategy they may deploy on the next stimulus package, and some new information out on stimulus checks and the impact they have had on the American people. Once again, we have a lot to talk about in this video. Let's get into it right away. Welcome, and thanks so much for joining me. If you're new here, or if you haven't done so yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right down below the video, as it's totally free to do so, and I am, and this channel is, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know with everything going on right now, as information continues to change very rapidly. I do all the research, I boil it all down into these short videos, and I deliver them to you a few times each and every day to help you out with everything that is changing during this time. So again, thank you so much for your support. Subscribe right down below, and I'll be here for you every single day. I promise. It is my commitment to you. All right, thanks again. Let's get into it and talk about some sneaky snake stuff, right? Some slimy, sneaky snakes. All right, anyway, I hope you enjoyed that because I just thought of that before I started recording this. I thought, hey, that's kind of funny. Let's throw it into the video. Why not? All right, anyway. So, September 27th is going to be a key date when it comes to the infrastructure package and this reconciliation bill. You know this because we've talked about September 27th a few times now in previous videos. We know the significance behind this date, and I want to lay it out for you why this is going to be so important and what they may actually do when it comes to these packages and what they may do to hold things back a little bit longer. Again, do we want to wait any longer? Well, not really, but this may be something that may actually happen. According to the reports that I'm finding and some of the information out there, it may just be happening in a matter of about a week or so. So, as we know, September 27th is the key date in which they want to bring to the floor the final vote on the infrastructure package as well as the reconciliation bill, according to the negotiations that Nancy Pelosi has held with moderate Democrats and, of course, herself about a month ago. So here's what they may do. Nancy Pelosi said that she will bring to the floor a final vote on the infrastructure package on September 27th. Well, she may just happen to do that. In fact, she probably will bring the final vote on that infrastructure package on that date, which is about a week from now. But after it is passed through the House, assuming that progressives don't come in and just tank the whole thing because they don't get their reconciliation bill quite yet, assuming that does not happen, Nancy Pelosi, after a final vote on this thing, may just decide to take the fully passed bill, tuck it away for a while, and say, I'm actually not going to send it on to the president for a final signature, which would ultimately turn it into law, until we get our reconciliation bill. So yes, she may actually do this, and she can actually do that. Rather than getting the full passage of the bill and sending it on to the president for a signature right away, she may just decide to tuck it away for a while and say, I'm just going to hold on to this thing for a while until we get our reconciliation bill fully passed, and then we'll send both of them on to the president simultaneously. So, kind of a little bit of a bait and switch, if you ask me, but technically within the parameters of what Nancy Pelosi can do and her privileges as the Speaker of the House, she can ultimately do that if she just so chooses to do so. So ultimately, she would be getting, following through with her promise and the negotiations that she made with moderate Democrats. Meanwhile, also satisfying the needs of the progressives where it would not actually go on and get that final signature from the president. So, whoa, we'll have to see a little drama twist in the whole stimulus packages and everything going on, which would ultimately delay the final votes on the reconciliation bill, which they wanted to get done simultaneously at the same time as the infrastructure, probably next Monday, right? So, whoa, we'll have to watch that very closely, but that is something that could be done. Now, according to an interview this morning that happened with some Democrats out of the House, they're basically saying, we're still very confident this whole thing is going to go down and that we're going to get these packages passed. However, it does sound like they're probably going to need to slim down this $3.5 trillion package probably a little bit. Now, we don't know how much they're actually thinking as far as what they want to slim these packages down to, but some of these people are coming out saying, yeah, we're sitting at about $3.5 trillion, And we do have some of these moderate Democrats, once again, in the Senate who are saying, we're just not having it. We might have to slim this thing down. So they are very much prepared, even though Bernie Sanders is basically saying $3.5 trillion is the floor, it is not the ceiling, and we are not going any lower. So again, we'll need to watch this very closely to see how this whole thing shakes out. All right, let's quickly talk about stimulus checks, and then we'll talk about some other very interesting information regarding money as far as minimum wages and what somebody needs to work in order to receive, to live at least the poverty line. These are actually some kind of scary and sad numbers. But let's quickly talk about stimulus checks. So, according to a new recent report, just in 2020 alone, the two stimulus checks that we received in 2020, the $1,200 in March, well, it was about April actually by the time most people received it, April of 2020, and the $600 at the end of the year, late in December, lifted 11.7 million people out of poverty just in 2020 alone. That does not take into account the additional millions upon millions of people that the $1,400 stimulus check lifted out of poverty in 2021. Once again, right? So, as we can see, the stimulus checks have been incredibly powerful, and we know that the administration and the Democratic Party as a whole is very focused on lifting people out of poverty, right? I mean, how many times have we seen reports and many people coming out saying, hey, it is our objective here to lift as many people as we can out of poverty. Therefore, the child tax credit payments, we've heard this before many, many times. Anytime that we hear information about the child tax credit payments, they're basically coming out saying, think about all of the people that this is lifting out of poverty on a monthly basis. Essentially, the very first child tax credit payment lifted 3.3 million people out of poverty just from that very first payment alone. So as we can see here, the stimulus checks have been incredibly influential when it comes to lifting people out of poverty. In fact, Pramila Jayapal over on Twitter said something about these 11.7 million people lifted out of poverty in 2020, and she went on to say, we need to pass this $3.5 trillion package, and I responded to her and said, hey, the writing is on the wall. It's super simple. Issue another stimulus check. Why do we got to jump through hoops? Why do we need to make this so complicated? Just issue a stimulus check. If you want to lift people out of poverty, we know the recipe. We know the formula. Make it simple. Send people money. Seriously. Why do we got to overcomplicate things? So anyway, that was essentially my response to her. But anyway, I mean, it makes it so clear. It's so clear cut and simple what we need to do. If they want to lift people out of poverty, why do we got to make it so complicated? Just issue another stimulus check. That's all we have to do. It's not that hard to figure out, right? I think many of us here can probably agree. Stimulus checks are the fastest and easiest way to get money into the pockets of the people. We can get it out relatively quickly. They could get it done essentially this week if they just so happen to choose to do so. If they could get a stimulus check approved, signed by the president, and probably out the door within a matter of about a week if they wanted to actually do so. So, I don't know why they got to make it so complicated. Seriously, if they want to get people out of poverty, issue a stimulus check. I don't know why this is so hard for them to figure out, but clearly it takes some brain scientists or rocket scientists, whatever you want to say, to get this stuff figured out. But what do I know, right? I don't know. But either way, I just want to be here for everybody, and I want to give my opinion and just to let you know, like, seriously, this is so easy. They could certainly lift people out of poverty and help people out. They just need to issue more stimulus checks. But we'll have to see what they actually do with all this stuff. All right, and one more tweet out of Pramila Jayapal once again. She tweeted out and said that a person earning a minimum wage would need to work 61 hours every single week just to live at the poverty line or shortly or just minimally there above. So again, the federal poverty line would be about $1,073 every single month or $12,880 throughout the course of the entire year. But think about that. Just to put that in perspective, 61 hours per week is working 5 days per week and 12 hours per day. Who wants to do that, right? That is a lot of hours, 5 days a week. You would only have essentially 2 days, the weekend, to have to yourself before right back at it, go back to the grind, 12 hours a day. That is a very long day. Now, don't get me wrong. I do understand some people work 12 hours a day, 5 days a week. That is a very long time to be spending working, especially if somebody's working minimum wage and working that many hours just to earn the poverty line. That's kind of a sad situation. But once again, as I read this, I thought I couldn't help but think about all of the federal beneficiaries of like Social Security, SSDI, SSI, VA, RRB. And I continue to think, what about all these people receiving $794 a month from SSI? What about all the people receiving $660 from SSDI, or $851 from SSDI, or even $922 from SSDI, or Social Security retirement? You name it, it doesn't really matter what the benefit is. My point is, anything less than $1,073 every single month is below the poverty line. What about all these people? Has anybody thought about them? So again, I think many of you can probably agree with me right here when I say this. Okay, yes, they need to raise the minimum wage, but at the same time, what about the roughly 80 million beneficiaries of all of these programs? Social Security, SSDI, retirement, survivors, SSI, VA, RRB. What about all these people who are also, once again, living below the poverty line? Again, has anybody thought about them? I certainly do every single day, but what about the people in Congress, the people who have the ability to give these people more money, all the beneficiaries? So again, it's just kind of frustrating. I mean, I don't think I'm the only one that sits here and thinks about all this stuff every single day thinking, what about all the beneficiaries? Hello, is anybody listening? Right? I think a lot of you are feeling the same way because I see your comments down below saying, the government doesn't care about us. Well, I mean, I don't want to agree with that, but sometimes it certainly feels that way, right? But either way, that is why we continue to come back every single day. We continue to pound the table. We continue to do anything we possibly can to get attention on all of this. And of course, remind all the people in Congress that not only do we need additional stimulus checks, but ultimately we need permanent raises to all of these benefits to at least a minimum of 100% of the federal poverty line. Again, it would only be fair to do that, right? Just bring everybody up. A minimum. Just put a floor in. You know what I mean? Just add a floor. Nobody should have to live below the poverty line. But again, we'll have to continue doing whatever we can to bring that up and to remind these people in Congress that this is so essential during this time. So either way, I wanted to bring you a quick update, let you know what's cooking as of right now. Well, I forgot I said earlier, sneaky snake strategies, right? That's kind of funny. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. But again, I will continue to be here for you every single day. I'll keep you updated with all these updates and everything going on right now. Things are changing rapidly, and I anticipate once again, this is going to be once again another very, very busy week as we have some key deadlines just ahead of us, and Congress is fully back in session this week. All right, enjoy your day. Subscribe right down below. Share this video or any others here on the channel with your friends, family, and social media. Go back and check out my nearly 1,600 videos, and I'll continue to be here for you every single day. Enjoy, and I'll catch you again. Enjoy, and I'll catch you again.